the Mayor of Desert Hot Springs, Mr. Scott Mattis.
Okay, well, is everybody ready?
Yeah!
I don't know if I am. Before I get started, I was first elected on the City Council in 2007, and not long after that, we had a brand new City Council in the end of 2007 that really tried to change the direction of Desert Hot Springs. And some of those members are with us on the City Council now, and it really is important to believe in their direction. And I think tonight, after I'm done, I hope that you will. Tonight here in our beautiful city, the future is here. The future is in Desert Hot Springs. My term as your mayor has truly been a busy one. We have so many wonderful things in the works. It has not been an easy road to this point for our city, but we have learned from our predecessors and we are moving forward. I want to share with you some of our accomplishments as a city over the last few months as my term as mayor. So thank you for attending tonight. And with so much to speak about, let's just get right to the Desert Hot Springs 2016 State of the City. You know what my council looks like, and that's the next slide, so I'm going to introduce them while we're taking care of these technical difficulties. That's the best thing to do, I guess. First, I want to introduce the Mayor Pro Tem, Joe McKee. He was first elected in 2013, and his focuses are on homeless, library, economic development, social services, and art districts, plus a lot more. But him and our councilmember Russell Betts were in LA yesterday and today representing our city of Desert Hot Springs. Joe, would you please stand? Joe McKee. Thank you. And next on my list is Councilmember Russell Betts. He was first elected in 2007, re-elected in 2011 and 15. His focus is on sunlighting the bus routes, public safety, parks, waste disposal issues, and a lot more. If you've got a complaint, you call this guy and he will be there for you. Russell Betts. Councilmember Parks couldn't be here today. Now, it's kind of a funny story. We've got some time to go. It's not really funny, but it's funny. So, JetBlue decided to come into the valley. Was this about a year ago they started to sign the contract? Well, there was $199 tickets for anybody that bought a ticket right away, straight to New York, round trip. So her and her daughter said, I'll never be on the city council again. Let's go. Well, some reason she decided to run for the city council and she won that seat. So she couldn't be here tonight because she's headed over to Palm Springs. They're going to take a late flight. They're going to New York on her bucket list to be able to go visit some family and see New York City. So she won't be here tonight, but most of you know Yvonne. She was first elected in 2005 on the city council. She was elected mayor in 2007, re-elected in 2009 and 11, and then she took a couple years off and decided to run again for the city council and was re-elected in 2015. Her focus is on housing, the environments, the sustainability issues, airport commission, and she's working with our Mayor Pro Tem on the Arts District. Let's give her a hand even though she can't hear us. Hey, I got a PowerPoint. Yay. Let's see if it works. I'm controlling it. I got it. Thank you so much. All right, let's catch up here. There they are. That's my council. And the newest member of our city council is Aniela Zavala. She was first elected here in 2015. There she is back there. Stand up, Aniela. Oh, wait, she is. She is small, but she is a firecracker. I sat her next to me, not realizing what was going to happen, but you mentioned parks or development agreements and you backed up. Her focus is education, parks, environmental and human rights issues, and a lot more. Just a little bit about Annie Ellie. She graduated from Desert Hot Springs High, found her way through college and to UCLA, graduated, and now she's back here serving her community. Thank you. Now, executive staff, I want you to think about this. 10 years ago, right before I was elected, there was 82 non-sworn employees in the city of Desert Hot Springs. Today, we have 19. Think about that. A lot of people call us all the time complaining about issues and all this stuff and how it doesn't get through the process, and we're right at the door barking at our city employees. But a lot of times it's because they are overworked and understaffed. This executive team is led by the city manager, Martin Magana. Where are you, Martin? There he is. He first started in our community development department in 2009, was promoted to city manager in 2014, and now leads our executive management team. Just recently, we hired a new director in our community development department, Nathan Bouvet, who worked for the city in 2004 through 2006, and then came back after working through the ranks. He's over here waving, and now he's the director of our community development department. Our administrative services director couldn't be here today, but he started working for us at the end of 2014, Joseph Tanner. Our city clerk, Gerald Soriano, been with us since 2008. Where are you at, Gerald? There he is. Right there. Our city attorney, Stephen Kidney, has been with us since 2011. Steve, I saw you around here somewhere. There you are. He's back there in the bow tie. And some of his team's with him tonight, so congratulate them on the work they do for us. And then our police chief, who we hired last year, Dale Mondary. Kind of like him, don't you? Yeah, and then recently promoted to the battalion chief of Desert Hot Springs, Eddie Moore. All right, now we're going to get to going. We got the introductions done. So our planning commission, I want to talk a little bit about our planning commission. A lot of people don't realize that citizens volunteer their time to be part of commissions and committees, and I just want to recognize some of them that are doing that for us today. We basically have new commissions because every 2 years we as city council reappoint or appoint new members of those commissions. Kathy Romero, our chair, Dirk Voss, our vice chair, Andrew Cerner, Paula Terrify, and Peter Scott Delatorre. I think some of them are in the audience. Please stand and give them a hand for what they're doing. By state law, we have to have a planning commission, and these folks represent us in all types of different planning areas. So when you see them, be nice to them if you're planning development. Our Public Safety Commission is represented by Walt Myers, Lee Eastman, Delinda Erickson, Donna Lozano, and Stephen Kelly. 3 of them are brand new to the commission, and they focus on our public safety issues in our community. Right now they're focused on traffic issues, animal control, and sign ordinances. Please stand if you're here. Stand up. Thank you for your service. Now this is the fun commission. A lot of people want to be on this one. The Community and Cultural Affairs Commission. Larry Buchanan, Rakita Grant, Keefion Shepard, Michael Burke, and Pamela Berry. Please stand if you're here. Thank you for your service. There's Larry over here. I want to talk about this a little bit. The Community and Cultural Affairs Commission, what they do is they basically go through and they try to put together programs such as art programs, sculpture programs, mural programs in our community. And they're focused right now on a couple areas. I want to make sure I get this right here. They focused on our, as you see, beautiful art in our community. Mural program, we had this piece of art here is from Simi Daba. You'll see some photographs around here. That was donated to the city, 8 pieces in our medians along the city, free of charge. But one of the pieces I want to talk about is the next piece that's going to come up here, is our butterflies. Now you can see them over here. Now our artist, Jeffrey Spakes, are you here today? Where are you at? He's back here waving his hand. He's the artist. I believe we have Larry's 5 pieces, 6 pieces? 6 pieces coming to the community. You'll see them in our medians and around our parks. They haven't exactly, I don't know if they know exactly where they're putting them now. Now they're going to move, they'll be lit, and these are the pieces of art that's coming to our community next. One of the other things that they've been working on is a classical concert series. The Christ Lutheran Church here in Desert Hot Springs has been hosting this event for this last year. This is bringing art to our communities musically. And if you haven't had a chance and you're not into classical music, you should take a chance and just go watch a concert. It's usually less than an hour. Most of the time it's on a Sunday. And they put on these great concerts, and the person that helps put on these concerts lives in our community and really has a focus for art in our community. Take some time and go see this if you get a chance. This again is sponsored by the CCAC in our community, and again, reaching out to the community. Thank you. So our other boards and committees, I just wanted to just show that there's a lot of people in our community that say that they don't have a voice. Well, you can have a voice in our community. You can be part of a board or a committee in our community. Here's some boards that you can be part of if you choose to. But the citizen advisory committees is what's important to me. One thing I learned being on the city council for 9.5 years, is that the citizens of our community have to be involved. So when I was elected mayor, the first committee I put together was a veterans committee. Jeff Horton, I know he's in the back there, he's waving his hand. He's our chair of that committee. Now, you get a bunch of people in the room with a bunch of egos, not like a city council or anything, but you get a bunch of people in the room with a lot of egos, and you try to come up with a structure. He's doing a great job because you have very strong people in this room. But I want to point out one thing. We had a gentleman come to our city council meeting recently, and he was a young gentleman, just out of the service, and he was begging for help to get the VA and get the services that he needed for himself. Jeff drove him down there and helped him fill the few little mistakes he made on the paperwork out, and he's getting the services today that he needs, and that's what we need to do. Human rights is very important to a lot of people. A lot of cities in our valley have commissions or committees on human rights, and this is something we wanted mirrored for a while. Annie Ellie and I are working on this very closely with our committee and building a structure right now. We have a housing committee that's focused on transitional housing and affordable housing. We have a homeless committee, which our Mayor Pro Tem and others are involved in. We have an economic development committee, and that pretty much states for itself. Our finance committee is very important in our community because it's part of a structure for us to get out of the financial issues we were in before, to have that citizens advisory committee. So we're working with that. And then our longtime emergency preparedness committee, which handles CERT training and other things in our community. For all those that serve on a committee, please stand. Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. So one of the things the first thing I did as mayor when I was first elected is I went to our city manager's office the very first day, and I said, okay, it's December 1st. For the last 2 years, we've declared a fiscal emergency. Do we need to do that? We opened the budget, we looked at it. We did not declare a fiscal emergency this year. Our budget is healthy. That is the hard work that had to happen over the last 2 years. It's the painstaking hard work that had to happen because programs like the Chamber of Commerce, Cavs Museum, and many others that has subsidizing from the city were cut. But we're building those reserves back up, and we're working towards that. If our estimations of our budget works, we could end up with about $1.4 extra million this year, and I'll explain that in the next slide. Our appointed finance committee, and then our audit. Like I said, I'll explain that in the next slide. So when you're sitting at your desk and you're putting a PowerPoint together and you're looking at it, you're like, oh yeah, this is great. Not realizing that, half of you are gonna be sitting 20 miles away, you have to read it. Our audit, the one last thing I wanted to say is our auditor for this year, the Poon Group came in, they're an independent audit group, they came in and gave us a good audit, which is one of the best, what is a very good place to be. So, this is our financial projections. You're gonna have to believe me on this one. This right here, this column here is where we're at currently in January. This was given to the city council to show where we were on cash flow in our accounts, and that's where we failed 3 years ago, was not having enough cash in our account. At one point there was about $400 left in our account. That's how bad it was. So through the years we've made the cuts properly, we've gotten to where we were today. Now you move to, see this area circled right here? This projects that after our fiscal year, we'll have about just under $5.3 million. And that's good to have. Now, everybody gets excited. Oh, 5.3, Annie Ellie's gonna go buy a park. I know she is. But she can't. So what happens in the first quarter is you need about $3 to $3.5 million to be able to continue to have enough money in your budget to run your city for the first quarter. We only have, at that second circle there, you will see about $1 million in revenue the first quarter. That's not a lot of money to have come in. We get most of our tax increments at the end, which if you go to the next one, you'll see that circle right there. You'll see $6 million in revenue coming in the fourth quarter. That's where you get most of your tax revenue, and then it leads into your next projection of your following fiscal year, which leaves us about flatlined. It's just under $5.3 million. So we're not gaining anything, but we're staying steady and we're making the proper cuts. And with the current financial situation, our finance committee is going to be making a recommendation to City Council that we will have a good budget this year. So we're excited about that. Now, I'm going to take a break because I didn't get that much applause. I'm going to bring the guy up here that gets a lot of applause. And I don't know if it's because he carries a gun or a taser. No, he doesn't carry a taser. We talked about this. He carries just a gun. So don't make him mad. Anyways, our police chief, Dale Mondary, is going to give the next few slides on what our police services are doing today.
Mondary!
Thank you. And seriously, thank you for the applause too. I just love working for this city. It's 10 times better than I ever thought it was going to be. Scott, when he a couple of weeks ago said, Dale, can you talk for 10 minutes at the meeting? And I said, Scott, only if somebody jumps up and takes the microphone from me at 9 minutes. So I will try to keep this on point and as brief as possible, but just to update everybody, as you know, or I believe you know, that the council committed to keeping and maintaining their own police department for 5 years, which is huge. Yes. And part of that, I don't know if he is here tonight. I did see Jan Pai. Jan is back over here, if you would wave to us. And Adam Sanchez were, and I didn't see Adam tonight, but we may as well give him a round of applause too, because he was part of that decision-making process. In that, they hired a full-time police chief. They actually did a nationwide search, and I know they had applicants from as far away as the great state of Indiana. Yes, being from here myself, that had applied. And so I was very honored to be selected, and that was obviously huge in maintaining a police department, is having a permanent chief. The thing that I'm proudest of so far in my tenure, other than not getting fired, is our crime rate reduction last year. The city of Desert Hot Springs actually had a reduction in their crime rate. And that is, and I know I've got people, Miguel is here, Commander Henson, I think, did Gus make it yet? Okay, but thank the staff, the police officers that are out there working hard every day. It truly is, because we were one of only 2 cities in the entire Coachella Valley. And I'm not besmirching anybody, but we hear a lot about our elite cities, and I won't mention them by name, and how wonderful it is to live there. And I'm sure it is. They had a crime rate increase. We did not. So I'm very happy about that. As the mayor had mentioned and the public safety mentioned, or the public safety committee, one of our issues in town is our gang problem, and we are working on that diligently. We're constantly trying to conduct exercises. One of the first things that we did for a special assignment was we actually placed an officer on the gang task force. That's how we get them to come to town, is by participating in the task force. It does hurt our patrol operations slightly, because we lose a man off of patrol, but what we gain is immeasurable, because we lose one, but we will gain 7, 8, 9, 10 officers in the city throughout the week, and they're working, and you may not even be aware of it, but they're doing a great job. We have a goal. We also have the PAC team, which is the parolee accountability team. In July, at the start of the fiscal year, we are going to place someone on the PAC team. That will again get an entire team of people in town dealing with people who are on parole, on probation, causing us problems. The best thing about that PAC team is with the AB 109, the realignment of the prisons, which released a lot of these people into the community, they actually fund this position for us. So we're actually going to put somebody on that team and again, in return, get the benefits of having more people in town, and it's going to cost the city zero. They will reimburse us everything. We've enhanced our community involvement in the city. We actually have people, Miguel being one of them, that actually lives in the city. Sergeant Paez lives in the city, Commander Henson, Yesenia Barriola, that I know of off the top of my head, our school. These are individuals that have committed to the city and actually living in the city, and they are involved in the city. I try to do a little umpiring, and I figured nobody will yell at me too much, especially if I umpire in uniform. But we have, I can't think of all the things that Officer Barriola has done with the youth in the community outside of her job as a school resource officer. We have people that are Sergeant Paez, Commander Henson, Eddie Cole, who's one of our detectives that volunteer and coach in youth sports. And then we're trying to have an active presence on social media and keeping everybody informed of the things that we're doing. We reorganized the department staff. We had some cuts, and so we aligned some different duties, hoping that we're working smarter and not harder. And they're working harder. Don't do too much. But they are. We've hopefully we're making the best out of our resources. And one of the things that we talk about is succession planning. I love this job. I'm not going anywhere soon, but one day in the distant future, I'm going to be gone. And we're working on succession planning, having people in place that can move up the ranks, hopefully, and keep it in-house. But if not, if the city decides to go outside and look for another candidate, at least we'll have viable candidates that can be competitive. One step in that process, which is an extremely, extremely difficult process to get into, is the FBI National Academy. The Los Angeles field office gets 7 seats in each session. There's 4 sessions. So Southern California gets to put, throughout the year, 28 officers into the National Academy. The waiting list is over 320 officers that are trying to get in there. It is very, very competitive, and if they went on a rotational basis, it would take somebody literally 10 years to get in there. And those of you who have dealt with me, mainly my wife, knows what a pain I can be when I really, really want something. And in this case, I knew the coordinator for the FBI program, and I just wore her poor little soul out until she finally says, if you stop calling me, we'll get Jim in. So in October, Jim's going to be gone for 3 months. He's going to go to the FBI National Academy, but what he's going to bring back to us is again, immeasurable. Again, with Prop 47 crime spikes and the AB 109, the things that we've been doing, and not just us. When I say we, I don't mean the police department. Yeah, we're kind of at the forefront, but it is you, and you, and you, and you, by being involved in reporting these things. So give yourself a round of applause. Because we have great citizens that help and report crimes and help us get criminals off the street, so that we're able to stabilize some of these issues. We're controlling and maintaining our 15-16 budget. And again, with the help of the Public Safety Commission, who every month they say, how are we doing? How are we doing? And Jessica, who is not here, who helps me manage our budget to make sure that we're not going over budget. So we don't, we want to do our part as a department in the city. In 2 weeks, we are actually going to, myself, the commander, and our leadership staff, we're going to be off-site for 2 days, and we are going to conduct a strategic planning session. And for long-range planning, not just immediately, but for the next 5 or 6 years, so that we have a plan in place. Pedestrian and bicycle safety. We've applied for a grant for that. We're waiting to hear back from the state. We're hoping to hear back in July or August, and then it will take effect in October. But we need to do something with our traffic safety on Palm Drive. And hopefully we'll develop some other ideas in our strategic planning session. We've also strengthened our relationship with the other Coachella Valley cities. We all work very well together. We're all close. Our criminals do not follow boundaries. It's not like Coachella Valley, their crooks, if you will, hit the city limits and then say, oh shoot, that's Desert Hot Springs, we can't go commit a crime there. They will come into our city and commit crimes. But, our criminals return the favor by going to their communities as well. So we have worked very hard interagency-wise. I was actually honored. I'd only been here a few months and got elected as the chairman of the Coachella Valley Chiefs of Police Association. So we're very. And then the last thing I would like to mention, it's not on the slide, but we have a citizens volunteer unit that they work in the office that helps us in our records division. They go out and they work on patrol and they do business checks and security checks. Last year, they donated almost 3,000 hours. Yeah, huge hand, because if we had to pay them, the state of California says the going rate for what they do is at $24 an hour, I believe it is. And so their involvement saves this city $70,000 a year. So thank you to them. And thank you for all of your support. And how did I do? Was I 10 minutes? Okay.
He kind of mentioned it, but his beautiful wife, Danette, is here tonight. She is embedded herself in our community also as a volunteer and a member in our community, so thank you. Now, I have a great announcement. Some of you have already heard this because we have to report out of closed session, but we have a tentative agreement with our Police Officers Association. So about 2 years ago, we started to have this budget issues, 22% cuts. We started losing good officers. We had to make choices as a city council. It came down to keep your own police department, or do you go to the sheriff's department? And we had to go through this exercise, which was very, very uncomfortable, but it actually came down to this. A 5-0 vote by the City Council on December 16, 2014 to support our police department. And that led to the discussions and negotiations, and when I took over as mayor on December 1st, I asked our city manager to get back to the table and let's make something happen, and he did. Thank you for what you did to our city manager and our team of guys. It's a tentative agreement. We still got to get it back to the City Council. I wanted to make that clear. It'll be good. Riverside County Fire, in cooperation with CAL FIRE, is our provider for fire services. Now, this is close to my heart. A lot of you know that I spent 20 years volunteering in this community as a volunteer fireman, so I know hand in hand what these men and women do every day when they get in their fire engines. Last year, the call volume was 4,859 calls by our fire station. That's a lot of calls. Actually, there's over 100 stations in the county now, and this single engine fire station ran the most in the county, or second most in the county. Third most in the county. I got fingers. Third most in the county. I wanted to talk a little bit about what they're doing with their fire calls, but we've had a lot of conversation about the burnt out buildings in the community. We had a rash of fires, and they were possibly a mixture of arson and other issues. We don't know. They're still under investigation, but because of that, our city attorney has helped us with a receivership program that they're going to go out and abate these programs or these properties and clean them up. So if you see one out there and you don't think anything's working, feel free to contact one of your council members or city staff and see where it's at in the process. Our city attorney is aggressive with this, and we're working very diligently to get rid of these burnt out buildings in our community. One of the things I wanted to talk about was the medical calls. Out of those 4,800, almost 4,900 calls, just under 3,600 of those calls were medical calls. 80% of those calls. We have to be creative in the future. Something that we should be talking about, has been talked about for a while, is a possible medic squad program. Now this is going to cost money in the future, but I'm tasking our Public Safety Commission with coming up with ideas on how to keep that fire engine off the road and get the proper people to the call. This is a program that we're going to talk about in the future, but just for example, our fire chief said to me at a couple of the major fires that we had recently, his first and sometimes second due engine to the fire was diverted to a medical aid. You know where that next fire engine comes from? Thousand Palms, Palm Springs, Cathedral City, Cabazon. So how long is that building going to burn? Life takes precedence over property, but this is unfortunate for our community. We have to come up with better ideas. Just show you another slide here. Get it to work. There it is. So this is a map of the city. I know it's not the greatest map, but if you see the blue outlined area, within that's the city limits. If you look at the blue circles, those are protected with fire services very well. The fire department has a goal to try to get there within under 5 minutes. If you look at the circled red areas, they're over 5 minutes. This doesn't help our east end of our city or the south end of our city. We have to be creative, and we have to look at their options for the future. But I wanted to introduce our fire department that's here tonight. Our battalion chief and his boss, Dan Talbot, are here tonight. Thank you for working. City code enforcement or compliance, however you want to look at it, they basically, all the violations go on the tax roll. In 2014, $313,000 went on a tax roll, and in 2015, $261,000. We had a significant drop because of staff cuts. We were at 6 employed one time, down to 4, and now down to 1. We have one reactive code enforcement officer in our community. This doesn't help when we have a lot of problems such as trash, which we'll talk about in a minute. We have to be able to abate the problems in our community with code compliance or enforcement. So it's something that we're going to have to talk about as City Council. City Council has given our staff direction to look at bringing it in-house, possibly the contracts up, and we have a policy to go out every 3 years for the contract, so it'll be something we'll be looking at. There's a chart that's going to come up, which you won't be able to read, but I highlighted this. This was the chart that was given to our Public Safety Commission on the calls that the service that the code enforcement agency does. I highlighted February's because we took in an administrative position for 30 days. They doubled the production. They doubled the production. Our poor code enforcement officer came in to give a presentation, and he had 2 large file boxes this big dumped on the desk because he's trying to get through them. It is thousands of calls that he has to go out to and try to manage himself. We have to find a solution to this. Thank you to them for what they're doing, absolutely. Desert Valley Disposal, I know Rick Wade and Chris Cunningham are here. You wave. Down here, there they are. Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing for our community. I have to highlight these guys. So we're in a financial bind a couple years ago, and they come to us and they say, hey, look, we can give you $1 million. We need to extend our contract so we can keep our employees employed, which percentage of most of them are from your city anyways, and we need to buy more vehicles. They gave us $1 million to make sure we didn't go into bankruptcy. Thank you. It's a great program. Councilmember Betts and Mayor Pro Tem McKee went out and asked them, how do we clean up the trash? They came up with this program. Now, it's not for free. You taxpayers are going to pay $170,000 a year, but does your city look cleaner? Yes. It absolutely does, doesn't it? This program is working. These 2 gentlemen jump in this giant truck and they fill it up, I don't know how many times a day, but they're out there, they fill this up, and all they're doing is they're walking. The other day they're parked on the street, they're walking all the way to the alley and pulling out couches and putting them in this truck and taking them away. Our city is getting cleaned up, but it does come at a cost. Thank you, Desert Valley Disposal, for what you do. Our next slide is going to be on graffiti abatement. This is another program that was brought to our community back in 2008. You don't see graffiti in our community. It costs you $100,000 to keep it clean, but it keeps our community clean. This gentleman here, his back is turned to us, but Jose there, he lives in our community. He volunteers for it. We couldn't get a picture of him in the front. He didn't want one. Jose Madrid lives in our community. He volunteers for Little League, and he goes out every day and covers graffiti. He's on a contract. Yes. When he goes out to cover the graffiti, not only on his work hours, but he'll come off work hours, he'll stop by if the police call him. He's a good guy all around, but he covers the graffiti and it's not up for more than 24 hours. I wanted to talk about the next slide here. Go ahead. And My DHS app. How many of you have that on your phone? A lot of you don't know about it. Desert Hot Springs developed an app about 6 or 7 years ago called My DHS. In your Play Store, you can download it. If you're in the city, the first screen will come up like this. The next screen will be push this button on your smartphone. It says graffiti removal. Take a picture of it, send it anonymously, and he'll come and cover it up within 24 hours, if not sooner. That's how fast it is. And there's other options on there. There's other options. So if you see trash or you see code enforcement violations, take pictures of them and send them. Our next slide is about animal control. Our animal control is a contract with Riverside County Fire Department, Riverside County, not fire. Riverside County and its Department of Animal Services. Last year in 2015, they picked up 1,744 calls for service. The subcommittee was formed recently, and we're going to actually finalize that soon. 2 council members, myself and our Mayor Pro Tem Joe McKee, 2 public safety commissioners, and we're going to ask a resident at large from the community to sit on this to really look at our animal control services. We don't have a lot of money for animal control, and we're not getting a lot of service because of the money that we're able to pay for the contract. So what we're going to be doing is looking at better services and trying to find dollars to actually keep our animals safe in our community. We did suspend a program, which was a canvassing program in our community. Got rid of it. So basically we thought it would be a good idea 2 years ago to have animal control officers knocking on your door and putting little things there saying, hey, pay your fees. It didn't work out very well. Our phones started blowing up at the council. So we suspended, got rid of the program. But that doesn't mean you don't have to license your animals. You're still responsible to have less than 4 animals in your home. You're still responsible to have rabies and license in your home. So please remember that. Our next slide. So the special projects. This is something that's been talked about a lot. And a lot of you are here today because you want to see what's going on in our community. Hot Springs took some very proactive steps in 2014 to put tax measures on the ballot. These measures were to tax the sale of medical marijuana and to tax the square footage of cultivation. Now, we all know dispensaries have been popping up in all cities and people are putting together all kinds of cities have been putting together all kinds of ordinances. But cultivation was something new, and a few cities were looking at the options. Right now, Desert Hot Springs is the first city in the state of California to be as far in the process as we are. Now, we're not perfect, and we're working for a better ordinance and a better way of making this happen. We have some issues, but I'm going to have our city manager walk you through some of this real quick and show you what's going on. You're going to be amazed. Our city manager, Martine Montgomery.
Hello everyone, thank you for being here. I want to thank Heather and all the sponsors for making this happen. Thank you very much. You know, it's been a little over 7 years that I started working with the city, and I never ever thought in my mind that the city of Desert Hot Springs would get into the agricultural business. When I became city manager, a council member asked me, what's the first thing you're going to do as city manager? And I said, I want the city council to legalize medical marijuana. And here we are. I saw an opportunity for this community to capitalize on an industry that could provide patients with an alternative method to treat a variety of illnesses. And I thought to myself, if it's regulated correctly, it will not only provide an opportunity to treat illnesses, but it's also going to generate revenue for a disadvantaged community and hope to turn it around into a thriving, healthy community that could change the face of this whole entire region. Also, I thought if it's regulated properly, it can protect the public via public safety, police, and fire, as well as the millions of dollars that are being invested in this community by these companies. And that would be a catalyst to a form of economic development that could change the community for the better. Now, California, I'm sure you know this, is #1 in the United States for all agricultural products. California provides pretty much all the country's agriculture. Nuts, see a few here. But nuts and almonds, pistachios, walnuts, fruits, you name it. And now medical marijuana could be added to that list. And I'm serious about that because this is a real serious business. I've learned so much about this industry and just meeting with all the applicants. And I got to tell you, we are in the forefront of a new industry here. Not new, but we are in the forefront of changing this community around. The state, as you know, they're working through their challenges and trying to create a department, develop a department, trying to figure out how to regulate the medical marijuana industry. And they have the Department of Food and Agriculture, they have the Department of Consumer Affairs, the Department of Public Health, and they're working through it just like we did, trying to figure out how they're going to regulate this, how are they going to help us cities like us that were so far much ahead, and then continuing to regulate this and just do it in the right way. So while the state is still trying to figure out how they're going to do this to help us, let me tell you about what Desert Hot Springs has already done. The City Council has taken a huge step forward in leading the effort and adopting ordinances to allow medical marijuana dispensaries and cultivation sites here in Desert Hot Springs. As a result of their efforts, and help from our city attorney and with the help of all my staff, thank you guys for the work that you do. We now have, as a result of their efforts, the council's efforts, we now have some dispensaries and dispensaries in operation, and we also have some medical marijuana cultivation sites that are doing tenant improvements right now so that they would soon be open and generating revenues for the city. So this is color-coded, and I'll explain it to you here. As for the cultivation projects, the City Council limited the cultivation to the industrial zone. And this is basically more the industrial zones in the western part of the city along Little Moronco Road, between Dillon and just north of Two Bunch Palms Trail. And however, the council did not put a limit on the number of facilities or how big these facilities could be. To date, the council has approved 8 facilities totaling 1,695,520 square feet. 1.695 million, okay? And these are shown in red. Some of the biggest ones is Oxford Properties, DHS Facilities, Snyder Investments. Those are the bigger ones, totaling about 1 million square feet, 380,000 square feet, and 180,000 square feet respectively. Now, there are an additional 8 applications that we're currently processing that total about 263,000 square feet, and those are shown in green. So right now we have close to 2 million square feet of medical marijuana and cultivation that were either approved in plan check or into the process. In addition, when you look at this map and you see the ones that are in yellow and dark gray, those are projects that are either pending contracts or in the design phases that are going to get submitted to us that we need to process as well and take through to the City Council for approval. Now, with any time that you have we have a number of challenges out there. And as well you know, anytime there's some challenges, there's always opportunities. I see opportunities. What we lack out there in our challenges are lack of infrastructure, electricity, sewer, offsite improvements, and also what goes along with that is the cost of all these improvements, the timing, when it's going to happen. And the council has taken a positive approach and directed me to hire a project manager that would help coordinate all these items out there that need to happen so that these businesses can be successful. And so I've been working with the water district also to help us. We've been interviewing some people, and we hope to hire somebody real soon that can come in and help us with all the needs that the applicants require. So with the opportunities, as you know, anytime you have any kind of project, you create increased jobs. These medical marijuana cultivators are going to generate, and the dispensaries are going to generate hundreds of jobs for us. And when you create jobs, you also create a demand for housing. You're going to need a place to live, so they don't have to drive that far to work and back and home. So, back and forth. And so, there's also increased revenues that are going to come from this. It's going to help the city offset its costs for maintaining public safety, infrastructure maintenance, parks, streetlights, all of the drainage facilities, all the outside stuff for the long term. We're also going to help this is going to help us reach economic stability. To be able to sustain our needs and be able to possibly help other organizations that also deserve it. And long term, really, we're just going to manage additional growth. Where we're planning on bringing to the council, we're going to approve allowing us to move forward and update our general plan. It hasn't been updated since 2000. We're way behind. And updating that general plan is just going to be a good way to plan for the future, more sustainable, and provide opportunities for us to have some more long-term economic development to meet the needs of the community. The next slide. Well, you can't read this, but I think what's important are the numbers on the left. On our dispensaries, the council limited the number of dispensaries to 19, which was really the original number of applicants that we received. And they allowed them in the commercial zones. And they also can have cultivation, but they're only limited to 99 mature plants. So it's very limited as to what they can do. So of the 19 applications, 3 have withdrawn, and we have now 16. Of the 16, 10 are approved, and 4 are currently open. That's Sungrow, Brown Dog, Greenleaf, and Green Pearl Organics. There's 1 under construction right now, and going under some tenant improvements. We have 5 that are on some stage that are preparing drawings to go into plan check. And we have another 5 that are in some kind of entitlement process, and staff is waiting for resubmittal to take it back to the planning commission. There's 1 that was continued, and it's working its way through the entitlement process. So we could, and I say potentially see 16 dispensaries. And I say potentially because even though the council limited the number, they still have to go through the process, go through the planning commission, make all the findings in terms of location and where they're located, in terms of distance from schools and whatnot. So there's other requirements that they have to meet before they get their approval. So with that, I want to say, as your city manager, I look forward to continuing working with all of these applicants, and I will do whatever I can in my power to make you successful, because your success is our success. And once again, thank you for coming. I appreciate all your support, and I'll turn it over now back to you.
All right, our next slide. Now we're gonna get going. We only have 626 more slides to go through, so step back. Hey, we got an after party. Everything's fine. Get a drink. You'll be fine. I want to say thank you to our utility partnerships. We have a great partnership with Mission Springs Water District. I know some of the board members are here tonight. Wave your hand. Thank you for what you're doing to partner with us. You see these medals. I put this up there for a purpose because our water is the best in the world. It tastes the best. You can sit in it and heal. Remember that. You don't find it anywhere else but in Desert Hot Springs. And with that, most recently, the city manager and I went to lunch with the president, Nancy Wright, and the general manager, Arden Walm. And we talked about building partnerships and building relationships, and this is something very important for the city of Desert Hot Springs. But these other guys around here need to get aboard, because we need to build partnerships with them. Their franchise agreements are outdated, some of them. They need to be bringing better infrastructure to Desert Hot Springs and not making Desert Hot Springs the last when it comes to infrastructure. We're working closely with them in the next 2 years to bring that to Desert Hot Springs. Cell, Wi-Fi service, faster internet is important for our residents just like everybody else. Okay, the W word. I know. Some booze. Here's the facts. That's all I'm giving tonight. The facts. 15 acres at Camino Aventura and Palm Drive when you're heading out of town. The last mobile home park on your right-hand side from that wall to a street that I say goes nowhere called Claire. There's 15 acres there. Walmart's 160,000 square feet, the same model as the North Indio Walmart. Go ahead and switch the slide. You can see exactly where it's at there going down Palm Drive if you're leaving town. It's an empty lot right now. One more slide will show you the model. It's basically a 160,000 square foot store. There's some outlots out here, 25,000 square feet more, about, I think I said 15 acres. Next slide. This is what everybody wants to know. What's happening with Walmart? Well, for 6 years ago, they bought the land. They're moving through the process. And when I first became mayor, I made a list. Anybody that's been in my office sees a whiteboard. And my whiteboard is full. And it's got developments, it's got projects, and every time I get one done, I give a check off. So I had a Walmart come in, sit at my desk and said, make a decision. Move forward or don't. They came back 2 weeks later and made a decision. They filed a proposal, a proposition with the city elections clerk. The attorney returned the title and summary to them on March 16th, and now they have 180 days. The proponent has 180 days to file a circulated petition with the elections officer. They have up till September 12th to gather at least 10% of the registered voters according to the last report of registration issued by the county. And then the city council will have 30 days to make a decision past that. City council either adopts the ordinance and allows them to go straight to development or not. And then if not, it goes to the voters choose at that point. Either way, we'll know at the end of this year whether Walmart's going to build or not. Rio Ranch Market, this has been a big discussion. Everybody on Facebook, it's not coming, it's coming, it's not coming. Well, it's coming. So, Jay McCormick, the Senior Vice President, again, another one of those things where I asked our city staff to get a hold of this person, find out what's going on. His exact words are, I would like to be more forthright, but unfortunately, I am waiting as I am on hold, getting Kmart to finalize their work so we can accept possession and begin. People don't realize that Rio Ranch Market is a tentative improvement on the inside. Kmart Corporation had a reorganization of their executive management and structure, as most of you know, and because of that, we lost the person handling this job. They now have a new person. That person is going to finalize two things, and when they do, it'll take Rio Ranch Market about 4 to 6 months, and they hope to take possession of that in the next, I believe, Nathan, 30 days or so, they were trying to say. He shaking his head, yes, I got it right. This will put 60 to 80 people to work, and 70% of them will be full-time. The great thing about Rio Ranch Market is it's not just a Hispanic market. It focuses on Southern American foods and other things like that that are important. Because when people talk about your Hispanic population, they talk about, oh, it's just a meat market. No, it's not. Your Hispanic population is people from Brazil, people from South America, people from Central America. It's all different types of people, and that's the type that these people, this store will cater to. So it's important for us, and we look forward to it. They're going to put jobs and revenue in our pocket. Our next slide. The Pearson Plaza across from the high school. Construction, as a lot of you have seen it started. This is an 80,000 square foot commercial center, including medical and professional offices, retail and restaurant uses on approximately 9.4 acres of land. 39,000 square feet is going to be a Department of Social Service office, putting 100 to 125 people to work. They have to deliver this on September of this year. If you go to the next slide, you'll kind of see the plans, and it kind of outlines here. Again, at the desk, it looked good. This is Pearson, and right there's a big piece of property across from the high school, and they're developing the south part of that property. You can go ahead and go through about 4 slides there. Basically, the 39,000 square foot property is right there, and you can see it under construction. That was taken a couple weeks ago. And again, 100 to 125 jobs. Two Bunch Palms, who's been there? Oh, yeah. One of our jewels. Two Bunch Palms is continuous with redevelopment plans. They've gone through some ownership changes recently again, but the CEO, Kevin Kelly, has stayed on board, which is very important to us. From December 2015 through today, in the investment, they've spent $400,000 in infrastructure. If you haven't driven by there, you've seen this big giant solar farm. They're trying to get off the grid, which I think they're almost there. In the fourth quarter of this year, they're going to be moving a $2 million expansion. This is going to have a second hot springs grotto, a resort pool, a new fitness center. With that, next year, they are hoping and working towards doubling their rooms. 36 to 40 new rooms, and what this does for our community. So it'd be 36 to 40 new rooms, a new spa and wellness center, and a new reception building. Now what this does is, this is going to be about $10 million project, but it doubles the TOT that we collect, the tax on transit, the transient on tax. But it doubles that for our community. So right now they pay just under $200,000 a year in tax to the community, and this will double that. So we really appreciate what they're doing. Our next slide. We broke ground recently on a new building by Angel View. A lot of you know who Angel View is in the community. It's one of the longest employers in our community. They employ the most in our community now, helping crippled children all around the country come here to live in their homes. They broke ground, if you go to the next slide there, a 26,250 square foot warehouse and retail facility, approximately 2.75 acres. This will give 40 jobs to our community. So how many of you shopped at Angel View before? So now when that $3 tie doesn't sell, it's going to go for a quarter down to this clearance center. And you can go pick up a bag and fill your bag up. Victoria's very happy. She's like, I'm going. You wouldn't believe. She says she goes shopping, I cringe, and then she comes home with $5 worth of stuff. So there's no slide for this, but our Flamingo Spa Hotel is a hotel that a lot of people talked about. Part of it burned down a couple years ago. They've reestablished, and they're putting together a 33-unit spa, hotel, and restaurant on approximately 1.79 acres. It's just off of Pearson in the east end of the city there. Our next slide is our city solar project. AQMD gave us $1 million and some other monies, grant monies, to put together projects in our community. And because of this, the city has developed a solar project that will take the city buildings on Pearson and our Civic Center off the grid and into solar. So we're working on that. You can see that. This is our senior center here. This is our council chambers and library there, and then our city staff and police department are just below that. So right in between that, and they'll take us off the grid there. Our next slide. We're going to talk a little bit about housing, and we'll go to click it one more time, Skyborn. Skyborn's our largest development in our community, 2,140 single-family homes on approximately 604 acres of land. Now, we just went through a development agreement amendment the other night at City Council. It was a little painful, but we got through it. They're taking a portion of the project, and they're going to make active living houses. They think that's the next market. Because of that, they're going to deliver a public park to us by the end of 2018, and we'll show that in a little bit. Our next slide there is Watermark Homes. John, I see you out here somewhere. Where were you? Okay, I know he's out there somewhere. The Watermark Homes has a 431 single-family residential resort homes on approximately 100 acres in Riverside County that was annexed to the city in 2003 and 4. The home sizes range from 1,200 square feet to 2,700 square feet. It's a master plan community, gated, and they have 25 remaining single-family homes to be built, along with 80 to 100 condo homes planned for the future. In construction, the project employs about 50 to 80 personnel. Our next circle there, the north end of the city, has 22-lot subdivision. That's Gallery Vista Homes. 9 acres of land currently under construction, located off of Sonora Drive and Via del Sol. The construction of first five homes started on October 2015. The homes became available for sale March 12th. The construction will consist of roughly 32 trades over 5 months. Tuscan Hills is the next project, and we had, again, I told you about my whiteboard, the check off list. We needed to know what's going on, so we brought Walton Group, not related to the Walmart Group, but the Walton Group is a development group out of Canada, which have offices in the United States and China. And they are processing, possibly going to be processing by the end of this year, an EIR and specific plan amendments. Now, a lot of people know this project sat for a long time. The use of it wasn't very good. It had golf courses and all kinds of other things, and it just wasn't very, I don't think it would be very environmentally friendly. So they went back to the drawing board when they bought this piece of property, and they're gonna come back and they're gonna show us no golf course and a new housing plan. They're basically gonna keep a hotel site, multiple private parks, and one large public park. They're going to donate 170 acres back to the city that's undevelopable in the mountains there for hiking and open space for the community. They're working on the flood control approvals right now. Yes, clap for that. That's very nice. Our hills are important. And then click one more time, and that's Vista Palms, developed of 95 single-family homes, 30 acres of land, constructed 6 homes, employs 2 part-time people. There's currently no construction, but they're looking at selling those homes. So there is home development in Desert Hot Springs. It is sporadic, but there is home development. Next slide. Our housing committee is working on a couple things. One, they're working with the Coachella Valley Regional Housing Trust. They're working on a plan to move renters to homeowners. How they're going to do that, I don't know exactly, but they've got a great plan. They've got a great crew set up to be able to do that. Annie, Ellie, and I took a trip up to Sacramento in January, and we visited with our Assemblyman Eduardo Garcia and our State Senator Jeff Stone. And we talked about some of the things, and I wanted to recognize Glenn Miller, who's here, the director for Jeff Stone, and Mayor of Indio. Thank you for what you're doing to be a partner with the city of Desert Hot Springs. And one of the things the senator is trying to work on, and I don't know if he's pushed it yet, but he's trying to work on giving credit to individuals that actually pay rent, hoping to put into escrow someday enough money that they could buy their own home. So when you look at Jeff Stone, say thank you, and I hope that bill will get through someday, because that's important for a community like ours. Capital improvement projects, parks, roads, sidewalks, safety crossings, these are things people love to see. We're going to go through these next few slides, and we're just going to keep rolling for a little bit here. Wardman Park, as you can see, different slides. We've been doing improvements to all our parks. In Wardman Park, we were doing improvements to the playground area, the basketball courts. They're going to be putting in some horseshoe pits, new barbecues, and yes, Russell, we got benches, didn't we? He's been harping about this. Him and Judy Shea, I know Judy Shea's here, where is she? She wants somewhere for people to sit when they're watching their kids play in the playground. They got benches and trash receptacles up there. We'll keep going through those slides. You're not going to be able to understand the next one because, again, it looked great at my desk. But this is how much is going into that park right there, and this is different restricted funding that we found. We can keep going. The next park is Mission Springs Park. Go ahead and keep just flipping. And you'll see again, multiple projects are going there. The one thing that's been talked about is the broken playground equipment. It's actually going to be delivered to the city soon and assembled and installed by the mid-May, according to Public Works. Our next slide is other parks and what we're doing in those. Now, I want to stop here for a second. Guy J. Tedesco was the founder of Food Now in our community. 1989, he put together this program that he was feeding people out of his own home. I was very fortunate before he passed and came down with cancer that he put together a board of directors in the community, and I was very fortunate to be president of that organization for a couple of years. When he passed, we wanted to name a park after him because of the people in that area would respect it more, and I believe they have. So the old park the park that was called Arroyo Park for many years is now named, and has been for the last 8 years, Guy J. Tedesco Park. And I know he's in heaven today, but this man fed hundreds and hundreds of people, and the one thing he told me, and I'll never forget, is when I became president of that, he says, you don't look at their car, you don't look at what they're dressed, you don't judge them. If they come here for food, they need it, leave them alone. And we can see we're doing many improvements at that park also. We'll go ahead and keep flipping through the slides here. We have other park improvements going on over the next few months, and we'll keep going, and we'll stop there. $526,000 will be spent on the parks in the next 2 fiscal years to upgrade your parks and get them back to the conditions they deserve. The problem with our parks is this: we don't have enough of them. Right, Annie Lee? She's shaking her head, yes. We don't have enough of them. But the biggest problem is people vandalize them, and they need to stop. They need to stop. This is costing the taxpayers $500,000 to fix mostly vandalized equipment and dilapidated things because they decide they want to tear them apart. They need to stop doing that. The city of Desert Hot Springs is dedicated to parks no matter what you hear out there. In 2006, before I was elected, the city council before me put $1 million into the Guided Esco Park. After I was elected, the city council in 2009 put $1.5 million into parks, and now we're having to put another $500,000 into parks because people don't take care of them. Take care of your parks, and if you don't see someone doing it, call this guy right here with the gun. Go ahead and flip the slide. Future parks, Karen Park. We just went through this with Skyborn Development, and at the end of 2018, they're going to have to deliver a 5-acre park. You can hit it one more time. This is a rendering of what they had before. We're looking to redesign this possibly and put more baseball fields in, and we'll talk about Little League a little more later. But there's a new need for this park, and we're gonna organize that and make sure it happens. That's a 5-acre park. Go ahead and flip again. This was a park in the Rancho del Oro neighborhood that was never developed in the wash basin there. That's something that we need to talk about in the future. Go ahead and flip one more time. Now we've got a special announcement. Now, a lot of people have been talking about this. There's 10 acres right over here, right behind this county building. And our county supervisor about 3 years ago was hit hard, 3 or 4 years ago was hit hard. Hey, we need more parkland, we need more parkland. Says, I'll give it to you. Okay, we'll give it to us. Never got to get it. Never happened. So one of the first things I did when I was first elected is I went and sat in John Benoit's office and I said, hey, you've promised this land, will you do it? And he said, sure. So the other day, we met with the Economic Development Agency of Riverside County, and as of yesterday, they sent us a letter of intent. We now have 10 acres for 10 years. Now, all you cultivators out there, I need $1 million. Gotta build a park. And I'm tasking our city council, each of us, because this is costing, the land lease is $1 per year. So each council member, I need $2 from you. We're gonna give it to our city manager so he can pay the county for 10 years. And we do have a 5-year option on that. Just joking, I'll pay it. Next slide. We have road infrastructure issues. If you drive up our roads, as most cities do, you have infrastructure issues. We're going through a slurry seal program, and we're going to be rehabbing Palm Drive from Cahuilla Avenue down to Hacienda Avenue. We're going to be doing a brand new road, a little over $800,000, and it just was approved by the City Council on Tuesday and is moving through the process. Next slide. Again, you have to build awareness. You don't understand on a council level how many times we as council members go to different meetings. Russell Betts and Joe McKee were just in Los Angeles representing us at Southern California Association of Governments. I represented us on Riverside County Transportation Commission. Now these projects here are with the Coachella Valley Association of Government. They handle the transportation of the Coachella Valley. Now we are part of that. So I brought the executive director and the Dennis Wood, the director of transportation up here, and we took about an hour drive on our roads to see him hand in hand how dilapidated some of our roads are. And since then, our city managers received a call back, and we're working on making sure Indian Avenue gets moved. It's in the top 10% of the transportation plan, and that is a road that's like a third world city there when you drive through it. But there's many other roads. If you go to the next slide, and again, not able to see, but you can see the different colors. The blue, green, and red are high priority streets, and this is a report that's done by an agency that CVAG hires, and each of us mayors sit on the executive committee or the transportation committee, and we're able to give input on this. But this is the road projects in Desert Hot Springs. This is how many dilapidated roads that we really need money to come to. Again, pulling those people into our city, giving them a drive around our city. So thank you to CVAG for what they're doing for us, and we're going to stay at their doorstep, making sure we get the money that's well deserved. Next slide. This is an important thing. I want to give a shout out to a couple people on this. This is Hacienda at Verbena. When the school district built a school there, not realizing when they put the district together that there was going to be a low-income area across a major intersection, the kids are like, you ever pour water down a mountain, it takes the easiest flow down. They don't want to go down the sidewalks. They want to find a straight path to school, so they go across this busy street. And years ago, the principal there, Mike Grind, pushed and pushed and pushed and wanted to cross there. He actually would go down that corner himself and cross the kids himself. That's how important it was to him. It took years. We got money from Safe Routes to School, and it went to a different route. It just didn't go the right route. But we kept bugging people, and then Mayor Pro Tem Joe McKee got a call from John Benoit, our supervisor, last year, and he says, hey, I have some extra money, what do you want to do with it? And he says, let's put a crosswalk right there. And he did that. Thank you to John Benoit, thank you to Mayor Pro Tem, thank you to all who did that. That intersection is safer today. Next slide. There's no slide for the bike and pedestrian master plan, but I wanted to talk about this. This was approved by the city council. We now have a bike and pedestrian plan at City Hall that we can actually go out and try to find funding to make sure that we can get our streets aligned for biking and our sidewalks done. So that's great. Good work by our city staff on that. And this is a pride and joy of Desert Hot Springs, our health and wellness center. If you haven't seen this, you have to go. I still was in a meeting, and I think Dee's here, she's gonna laugh, but I would say this. I was in a meeting and I said, we have a fitness gym. And they went, huh? And it's been there for a couple of years now. It costs you $50 if you're a resident of Desert Hot Springs to go to a state-of-the-art fitness gym. We'll go through some slides here, and it's gonna show you. But our Boys and Girls Club, which houses about 600 members, our fitness gym has 595 members. They offer free classes to you. So John, if you want to go do some yoga, or Russell, you want to go do some kickboxing, I'm not going with you. Our weight loss club, they have a boot camp and a Zumba class. You can go over to the Health and Wellness Center, check out the calendar, pay your $50, and you can go to these classes free of charge. They also have a dental service in there. One of the things we found, you can keep going through the slides there. One of the things we found when we did a study was that the health, to get to the children's health, was making sure that their mouths were clean and getting the proper dental services. So we put a dental clinic in there. 4,087 visitors last year. Ages 19 and under were 1,606, and they also handle adult insurance, which is ages 20 and over, 2,481 adults. So if you're underinsured or not insured, you can walk in there and they'll go on your income. I have health insurance, I have dental. I spent $300 on a cap, even with my insurance. My barber goes in there, doesn't have dental insurance, and paid $50 for his cap. So, it is a long wait, it is 30 days out to wait, but it's well worth it. Our next is this, our pool. And everybody knows John Furby. This pool is named after him. I don't know if you've heard, but John's had some serious health problems recently, and he is in skilled nursing somewhere close to Rancho Cucamonga. We don't know how well he's doing today, but we know that he's progressing, which is good. So our prayers, our hearts and prayers are out with him every day. He has been a long-time philanthropist in our community. He donated money to this pool. It was named after him, and this state-of-the-art pool needs to be open to the public, and we're going to do everything we can to find a way to manage this and get this open to the public. So let's keep John on for this. Our next slide is going to talk about our hoteliers. Now our hoteliers, this is off their website. Our next slide is going to show the transit occupancy tax. This is the TOT, so whenever you go anywhere and you stay at a hotel, you spend money, this is another one of those taxes that we collect that help keep the streets clean and the officers in their cars. In 2013-14, we collected $1.313 million. In 2014-15, we collected 1.351. That was about a 3% increase. This year, we're up 8.6% higher than last year, and we're projected to be in 5% increase in our hoteliers. We have some of our hoteliers here tonight. Raise your hands. You are the backbone of the community. You keep tourism here. Thank you for what you're doing for our community. If you go on these different websites, you'll find these hotels are world-renowned. They've won many awards, and they are employing people in our community, keeping our water safe, and really bringing in the tax dollars to try to build your infrastructure. So thank you again. Our next slide is our 2016 Healing Water Spa Tour. I met with the hoteliers recently, again yesterday, and talked with them. We're going to partner as a city of Desert Hot Springs with them and put on this signature event next year. It is important. The healthy waters in this community are sought by many. If you haven't taken the spa tour before, it's 7 years in making now. If you haven't taken it before and seen the inside of these spas, you're missing out. Next year it's going to be bigger, it's going to be better. We're going to partner and be good partners. So I'm looking forward to that. Next slide is another jewel of our community, the Cabot's Pueblo Museum Foundation. This organization basically keeps our artifacts and everything in order. We'll go ahead and go through a couple slides. Most recently, we received some grant funding and paved their parking lot for them. And on May 7th, they're going to have their gala, which is their honoree is Harold Mansner. He's a big philanthropist, and he is a good partner with Cabot's Museum. I hope you can come out for that. I'm sure tickets are still available on May 7th. If you haven't seen the Pueblo, you've got to go. He gives the history of Desert Hot Springs, one of the first founders of Desert Hot Springs. It is a wonderful place. Please go out and take a tour. Our next slide is about the CV Link. A lot of discussion in our community about the CV Link. We are an option in the CV Link. At this time, Rancho Mirage has decided, or is deciding per voting, if they're going to be in or out of the plan. Indian Wells is not supporting the current route. Cathedral City has already started implementing their routes, and we're working on a master plan. So with that said, right now, we could have a connection from the Sand to Snow down through the center of the city of Desert Hot Springs and into the other cities, but we're not exactly sure where it's going now. We have to find funding for engineering, but in the future, CV Link could be a possibility in Desert Hot Springs. Next slide. Sand to Snow. This is a very wonderful thing to happen for the city of Desert Hot Springs. On February 12, 2016, President Barack Obama signed a proclamation declaring the Sand to Snow National Monument. This basically connected 154,000 acres just on the outskirts of Desert Hot Springs. This means hiking and people that want to bird watch and see things can actually come to Desert Hot Springs, stay here, and walk right into that national monument today. Go to the next slide. If you look at Desert Hot Springs, we are the southeastern gateway to the Sand to Snow. This right here is Joshua Tree National Park. This connects all of the Sand to Snow. Mission Creek right off of Highway 62. I was in the congressman's office the other day. He told me he would support us. If we can find the pot of money to go find a national tourism, a pot of money to build a tourism destination visitor center right there off of Highway 62, he would chase it for us. With that, we have multiple entrances from Long Canyon, Cabot's Museum area, and the Big Morongo Canyon right into the monument. Literally, you could park right at the north end of our city and walk right into it. This is important because you have 1.6 million visitors to Joshua Tree every year. If we can capture about 200,000 to 300,000 of them to stop here in Desert Hot Springs, the money they'll spend here is important to us. We'll go to the next slide. We'll see this is the actual Joshua Tree National Park, and you can see Desert Hot Springs is right here. We're literally, if you go up Long Canyon and drive up that road for about 3 to 4 minutes, you can park and walk right into the National Monument. The actual superintendent called me the other day, wants to sit down and have a meeting on next Monday. We'll be sitting down and talk about opportunities Desert Hot Springs has with the Joshua Tree National Park. Our next slide. How many of you are hikers? Like to hike? Have you hiked our hills? People forget about it. They talk about Palm Springs, they talk about Rancho Mirage. I don't know if they talk about Indio so much. You talk about La Quinta, John. Desert Hot Springs has some of the greatest hiking trails around. We had a long-time committee that were looking to identify and mark the hiking trails. We're reorganizing that committee. We have many access points into our local hills, and we're going to identify those trails and put them on the map for the Sand to Snow and the Joshua Tree National Monument, and bring those hikers to Desert Hot Springs. Hike and soak at Desert Hot Springs, that's the new motto. Next slide. I want to talk a little bit about John. John, I told you I put a picture of you. I told you I was going to go. John Girardi, I want to talk a little bit about him real quick because they just went to areas with the school district. And because of that, we have an area in Desert Hot Springs that John Girardi ran for, and he won that seat. And because of that, we have a representative out of Desert Hot Springs. Now, I want to say there's a couple more board members here today, Sherry Stewart, Carrie Gannett, and Richard Clapp. I got it, stop. They represent Desert Hot Springs also. They've done a good job in the past, and thank you for all the service you guys do for us when it comes to Palm Springs Unified. They're working hard around schools. They saw it very important years ago to put Desert Hot Springs on the map when it comes to schools, and they did that. There's a foundation also that puts a lot of money into programs for the school district. I wanted to recognize them, but I wanted to recognize a couple things. Go to the next slide. Our schools did a Taste of Soul in the Desert. This was really important. If you didn't get a chance to see this, this is during Black History Month. And basically, almost all the schools around here participated, and you went room to room, you saw art, you saw culture. It was a wonderful event. I know a lot of people were involved in it. Our next slide, our boys soccer team and our boys basketball team went to CIF playoffs this year. Yeah. You saw earlier our junior ROTC members. They have over 100 active members in there. Go to the next slide. This was great. This is KidWin. So, KidWin is a competition where you build a windmill and you get to put it into with a fan, and if it works, it's great. Well, Desert Hot Springs knows how to work them very well. We had, I'm trying to find the number here. I'm going to find it because this is important. We had last year the regional competition in Portland, Oregon. Our girls won. This year, we had the top 3 spots was Desert Hot Springs High School. That means we're going to send 18 students, or the school district is, we're not, we have no money. School district is, I saw John's eyes on it. They're going to send them to New Orleans for the national competition that GE Renewable Energies and the AWEA is putting on, the American Wind Energy Association, in May. And go Desert Hot Springs. And then our next slide, one more. Now this young man, he's here today, John Trey Terry III. Stand up there. There he is right here. First student from Desert Hot Springs to ever be the first place in the district spelling bee. But then went to the Riverside County Spelling Bee and took second. Congratulations, a true leader in our community. Our next slide. We're going to be working close with our College of the Desert representative, Mary Jane Sanchez. Are you here tonight? Thank you for your service. In 2014, our next slide is going to show that they were going to build the West Valley campus. That hasn't happened yet. We're going to be working closely with COD on trying to bring that campus, a portion of that campus, to Desert Hot Springs. Our next slide is very important. Russell Betts and other members of the community have been working very close on making sure that the ridership to COD was easier. You can now get on that bus in the morning multiple times and be at COD in less than 30 minutes. That's important. All right, our next big announcement today is we will be meeting, the city manager and I will be having a conference call with the Economic Development Agency of Riverside County, and they have given us the permission to build, they are going to build a brand new library for the city of Desert. Right here is that parkland I was telling you about, right back here, right next to the county Office of Aging. John Bonoy called me the other day and said, hey, get your city manager in touch with this person right away. I've given them the green light to build you a brand new library. Okay, I know we're taking some time, but this is very important. The next slide is very, very important. Educational opportunities for Desert Hot Springs is really, really important. Smooth Transitions has been in a program in our community for a while. They basically came into the community, they started teaching GED to anybody that needed the classes out of the Family Resource Center. After that, the last administration basically helped them get into a location here on Palm Drive, and then I met with them not long after that. They have a vision for Desert Hot Springs. They're teaching classes, life and job skill training, senior meal programs, GED, career development, business and personal communications, computer skills, and the list goes on and on. I said, what can you do for our community? They said, let's try some urban gardening and culinary arts. So, go to the next slide. What we decided to do, here's a senior center. They have a commercial kitchen. Seniors are out of there at 2. It'll turn into a classroom. They're going to teach culinary arts, and on this empty land the city owns, they're going to build a greenhouse and teach urban gardening. Smooth Transition, raise your hand. I know a lot of you are here today. Thank you for what you're doing for our community. They have a rendering back there of what this site will look like. Their vision is to provide at-risk population a gateway towards empowerment, education, and employment opportunities. Desert Hot Springs has about a 7% unemployment rate. Food and resource management collaboration, farm program is what it's going to be. It is important for our students and that are graduating from high school to be able to have some educational opportunities after. And this is important, so thank you. The concept is in the back. Take a look at that. Next slide. Borrego Health, another special announcement today. Borrego Health is a federally qualified health center. And what that means is that they can capture tax dollars from the federal government. When in 2013, the HARC study that was done, the Health Assessment Resource Center did an oversampling of Desert Hot Springs, and about 34% of the population had no insurance, they found out. That was the main reason why private practice wouldn't come here to Desert Hot Springs. The Medi-Cal visits were low, and so Borrego Health came here. They opened a main campus on Pearson, if you know of it. They also have a specialty clinic. Their main campus saw 18,077 Medi-Cal visits last year. They also have an urgent care. That's not the private insurance people either that went through there. Their specialty clinic handles AIDS and hepatitis C patients, and they saw 2,069 patients. And their dental clinic, we talked about the Health and Wellness Center, how many patients that they're seeing there. Biggest talk in all the committees I've been in is mental health concerns. Over a quarter of the adults, and this is from the HARC study, over a quarter of adults in Desert Hot Springs, 29%, have had emotional, mental, or behavioral problems that concerned them in the past year. Over half of those, 50.7%, felt that these problems were severe enough to require professional help. Now, we've seen this. We know it from all the committees and what we see on the streets with homelessness, with mental health issues. So sitting with the executive director about a month after I was elected or so, Martina and I took a drive down to San Diego to sit in his office, and we started talking about these services and other services that we have. And I obviously clicked in my head, Borrego, do you handle mental health and behavioral health? They said, yeah, we're actually getting ready to start those services at our main campus. I said, how about homeless services? And they said, you know what, we've always wanted to do that. We want to make your city the pilot program. Thank you very much. Pilot program. Borrego Health is looking for a location in our town. They will handle mental health, behavioral health, and a pilot program on helping homeless off the streets, and they will do that within the next 6 months. This just shows you the campus, the dental clinic, the main campus, and their specialty clinic on Desert View and Palm in our community. They have been a blessing to our community. Now, we'll get into what is the future. We're going to go through some slides real quick here. I know you guys are getting tired and want to get back to the bar there. So with that said, I heard some yes. What is the future? We recently went through a study session, wanted to know what AB2 was going to do for our community. It's Community Revitalization Investment Authorities. Our Assemblyman Eduardo Garcia, who's been a local advocate because of his long time being the mayor of Coachella, has been a great advocate for the city of Desert Hot Springs. And he came through when he was first elected, introduced this bill, co-authored this bill, and was approved on 12/1/2014 and signed by the governor on September 22nd, 2015. This is basically to handle disadvantaged communities. Well, we did a study on it. We don't know if we're going to be able to utilize this program, but it did lead to other discussions, which we do think other programs can help our community. And Eduardo Garcia, I know he's not here tonight, but I know some of his staff is. Raise your hand out there. I think Aurora's out there, Jackie's out there. Thank you so much for what you're doing for our community. Next, what is our future? A lot of people come to our city hall and it's trailers and they're falling apart. I always joke our city manager is going to fall through the floor of his. So these have been some renderings that are going to pop up for years. People have been talking about a civic center. I'm going to task my city council to actually sit down and try to come up with an idea on how to fund this project. But we as a city need to come up with a new idea and have a civic center for our community. There's 3 slides that will come up that will show you some renderings over the years. This is the Civic Center and how you could reorganize that, but this is something we'll be focused on as a Civic Center in our community for the next year. The next slide talks about the Arts District. This is led by Mayor Pro Tem McKee and Councilmember Parks. Our Art District is important to our community. As you know, we have a lot of artists, as you see here tonight, with these butterflies here. Our Community and Culture Affairs Commission has been working really hard on bringing art to our community, but what does that mean for our downtown? We have a specific plan already set, the Vortex plan. So the Arts District is now the Arts Committee is going to sit down and talk about putting basically an overlay or possibly some other projects. Next year we'll have a better update on that. Next slide, and you're just going to click through these. What is our future at Desert Hot Springs? Is it cultivation? Is it tourism? Is it planning, implementation, hiking, education, the civic center, real estate, commercial development, arts and entertainment, or is it all of these? And I think it's all of these, to be honest with you. What will define Desert Hot Springs? I'm not exactly sure yet, but we're going to work towards that. I want to go through a couple slides real quick. It's our community partners. Now, I know everybody's getting a little restless, but I really want you to focus on this because these are people that help our community every year. I volunteered in my community. I've been here my whole life, and I've made sure I volunteered. Most recently, Mission Outreach Project God's Kitchen and Clothing Center received some grant funding to move into our Henry V. Lozano Community Center at Guided Esco Park. They serve 1,297 meals every day, or they've served 1,297 meals since being there in January. 874 loaves of bread, 26 hygiene packets. Basically, if you're in need of food, you can go there on Wednesdays or Fridays and get fed. God's Kitchen, I know some of you are out there, raise your hand. Thank you for the service you're doing for our community. You can go through some of these slides here and you're gonna see what they're doing. They're at the Henry V. Lozano Center, Community Center there. They're handing out bread. These are the meals that they're giving to these individuals that need them. Hygiene packets. And these are the people there. Moving to the next slide. Oh, sorry, go back one slide. Forgot, they have a family festival coming up on May 15th. You get a chance to go and support God's Kitchen.
All right.
Next slide. Desert Hot Springs Neighborhood Group. The reason I'm talking about this, and you can kind of go through the slides, there's pictures here. Donna Lozano's over here. She's just yelling at me because I said her son's name wrong. Donna Poisina here. She came to Desert Hot Springs a couple of years ago and decided that she was going, or a couple of years ago, she decided she was going to get involved in the community, and she started reaching out Facebook. And I want to go back one slide there, right to this slide. The Broskitos. Waiting for that. And, the local, all four of these guys graduated from Desert Hot Springs High. They took second at the Toshiba semifinals.
Yeah!
And they're going to be going to the next round. These guys are a local band, great. The neighborhood group is important for our community because it reaches out every month. They reach out and they actually go to different events. They put it on Facebook. It is what community is about. And you can see Donna there. She's one of our stars in our community. She's shaking her head because she doesn't like to be recognized, but oh well, you are being recognized. And these are some of the partners that she has that helps her with that Facebook, or have helped her with that Facebook. Thank you for what you're doing for us. Next slide. Our Desert Hot Springs Rotary Club's been here since 1945. They've been active in our community, supporting multiple organizations. They've been there fundraising for a garden, which is across the street if you get a chance to see it. You can see some of the programs they're doing there. The next slide. Jack Webb. I want to talk about this. 90 years old last year. Jack Webb basically donated land across the street there, and he gave it to the community garden there for the Rotary. He's been a longtime partner of our community and a good philanthropist. I just wanted to recognize him for the service he's done for our community.
Jack Webb!
Keep going, you'll see some pictures of the garden, and then we're going to flip to the next slide after that. You can see what the garden's growing. It surely is. There's some goofballs there in the yard. Lilac, I want to talk about a little bit of this. Literacy, Language, and Culture Center is located at the Henry Valor Lozano. Did I get it right this time? Good. Community Center. And with that, 2010, Dr. Connie Montgomery began a weekly home visit program with 5 Hispanic families, and you can go through the slides here, with the preschool-age children, and hosted monthly parent meetings. February 2012, Lilac was incorporated as a 501c3. June 2014, 3 children, having completed 3rd grade, graduated from Lilac. Continued weekly home visits to 5 families, supporting their young siblings and of Lilac graduates, as well as the other children are in the current program. 5 years of implementation of the Lilac Home Visitation Program has constituted a proof of concept. Dr. Montgomery and her husband, Reverend Montgomery, right over here. Thank you for what you're doing for our community. You can see the pictures here. They're teaching kids to read. And they're not just teaching them outside. They're teaching them when they're still growing. They brought a person within their group that was still pregnant, and she's reading to her child inside. It is a wonderful program. Next slide. Our community partners at Little League, something close to my heart. I volunteered with Little League for 16 years, and I wanted to highlight a little bit of what's going on there. We can go through those slides there. You can see just recently on opening day, our police chief threw out the first pitch. Oh yeah, who's that? Hey. That's my fiance. Yeah, she is. This gentleman right here, Gerald Roberson, couldn't be here tonight. 37 years volunteering for the community. Next slide. This highlights our women's club, longtime organization since 1953. I know a lot of women's club members here. They give approximately $20,000 back in scholarships every year. Annie Zavala, one of our council members, received a scholarship from them. It helps get kids through college. Keep going through the slides. And you can see some of the pictures of the fashion show and other things that they put on. $20,000 each year to the community in scholarships. We're just going to go through these slides here. What is community partnership? Is it the Elks, the Diversity Group, AYSO, Junior All-American, Boys and Girls Club of Coachella Valley, Bobby Horton's Wednesday Walk Group, Food Now, Family Services of the Desert, St. Elizabeth's Food Pantry, Boys and Girl Scouts, CB Christmas Store, Desert Hot Springs Historical Society, Desert Hot Springs Friends of the Library, Souls Praising Heaven, Rising Stars Business Academy, Desert Hot Springs Pickup Crew, and the list goes on. If you say there's nothing to do in this community, you're wrong. There's a lot to do in this community. And there's a lot of people doing stuff in this community to help. And the next slide here is our Chamber of Commerce. Thanks to Heather Caldonado, our CEO of the Chamber, Dirk Voss, the chairman, and the entire board of directors for hosting the event tonight, advocating for local business, incubating new business, and developing new business in Desert Hot Springs. Listen to their plan, utilize their plan, and support your chamber. Our next slide, we're getting close to the end there, I promise, is our Healthy City initiatives. All mayors have put together healthy city initiatives, but a lot of times they just don't get implemented. I'm implementing ours. Jackie Chapman right down here, raise your hand. She is my chair. We went through an exercise and we came up with a couple of areas we're going to focus on in nutrition, motion, health services, resources, mental health, and behavioral health. They're putting on an event on April 20th at the Carl May Center where the council meets on medical marijuana. This is an educational forum. This is one of many to come. There's a farmer market coming soon. Healthy and safe Halloween. And the Mayor's Triathlon. These are things that we're putting together in our community. Thank you very much. We're going to play a video that was Burke Media Productions. And then I got some closing comments and I'll let you get to the bar. Keep going. in closing, I know we went a little long tonight, but I'm excited. I'm first year mayor, and it is just so important to me to really highlight the community that I live in because of what we've done over the last few years of being on the city council. I want to thank all of you for attending. I want to thank my beautiful fiance for sitting there for the last 2 weeks going crazy with me. I want to thank our staff for all the hard work they did on getting me the information, and especially Doria, who stayed there every day and was on every department head, making sure that she got that information for me. Thank you very much, Doria. I want to thank the city manager and the police chief for assisting in tonight's State of the City. Thank you to Burke Media Productions, Sally, Donna Boyazina, Bruce Montgomery, Mark Davidson, and Luis Fausto for your photos and for the production of some of the video and all the things that you were able to let me use tonight in this presentation. And special thanks again to the Chamber of Commerce, Heather Caldonado, Dirk Boss, the chairman, and the board of directors for hosting us tonight. I promise, this is my final words, I promise you. I promise you. John F. Kennedy said, leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. Serving 8.5 years on the city council before being elected to mayor has definitely been a learning experience. Being a leader is now my role for the city council. No council member is first elected and can be educated in all the areas they are expected to make policy for, such as public safety, administration, planning, building, public works, transportation, the list goes on and on. But we all have a heart for our community. And if you take on the leadership learning philosophy that JFK had, you might just make a difference.
Yeah.
Now we all know that leading some of the strongest egos are sometimes difficult, but I truly believe over the last few weeks we are all settling into our roles in our community as leaders. Who's seen the movie Creed? That's a good movie. The famous Rocky Balboa said this: one step, one punch, one round at a time. I use the same philosophy when I'm teaching my little leaguers. One pitch, one at bat, one hit will lead to success. If as leaders we can really focus on the one step or the one pitch, then we will get to the one punch, the one hit. Before you know it, we'll have that one round over or that run will score. Too many times in the past the city has gone for the knockout or that home run and failed. I am confident in this city council that we will take the path to success. Desert Hot Springs, we can be a tourist destination of none other. We can be successful leaders in development. We can build parks and repair roads. We can be a desirable place to live. My focus as mayor is to lead Desert Hot Springs, not dictate my policy or personal views, but to work with my city council and our staff to help guide Desert Hot Springs to a successful future. You have seen over the last, a little more than an hour, sorry, a snapshot of the first few months and the goals for the next 12. I hope you have been informed and inspired. In 1988, after 2 terms in office, Ronald Reagan delivered his farewell speech. The final piece of his speech was this: my friends, we did it. We weren't just marking time. We made a difference. We made the city stronger. We made the city freer. We left her in good hands. All in all, not bad at all. I hope as mayor, when I decide to call quits, that I can say, all in all, not bad at all. It has been a true honor to serve as your city mayor for the last few months, and I look forward to making a difference in the city I grew up in and the passion I have for it. Desert Hot Springs, stand tall, stand strong, and respect one another. Thank you.